Hi, this is Papa's Maze. It's an insanely detailed, insanely big, and insanely complex maze drawn by talented Japanese artist Kazuo Nomura over a period of 2 years. And this is me. I'm an insanely stupid person who wants to turn this maze into an insanely detailed, insanely big, and insanely complex virtual reality city with many monsters, secrets, and adventures. Welcome to the Impossible Maze build. In this video, I need to take a photo of the maze so I can start building it in 3D. I'll need to reach a few milestones before the impossible maze is completed. First, create the city streets based on the Papa's Maze. Populate the maze with buildings and other environment objects. Then, I'll need to build the castle, which will also be a challenge since it is like a small maze itself. Fourth milestone may be the most difficult yet, as it will require me to fill the city with monsters, stories, and challenges. To reach the first milestone, I need to digitize the maze and use the image as a reference to create the paths in Blender. Also choose themes for the different areas of the city. The themes will dictate the look and feel of the streets, as well as the atmosphere, which is defined by street lamps, benches, chairs, fire hydrants, trees, texture, colors, shapes, and other small details. And last but not least, I'll have to model and texture the streets based on the selected themes. So considering how much there is to do, I probably should get to work. The simplest option for getting a digital copy of Papa's Maze is to simply buy a high-resolution image. Google, search, Papa's Maze Digital, and I find not exactly what I expected. How about Papa's Maze Download? Spoon and Tamago. Spoilers. Ocean Life. Again, not what I'm looking for. Oh well, if I can't find a file for download, I can always transfer it from poster to computer myself. Just need to take a photo. So I take my phone, I point, I snap, and it's done. Just like that, step 1 is completed. Except it's not. Despite what popular media says, apparently phones are really bad at capturing large images with small detail. As you can see, there is no way I can trace the paths from this. Not to worry. After some rummaging, I find my old digital camera. I point, I snap, and we have an image. Except my Fuji camera is no better at capturing small detail than my phone is. Let me think.
You're off to a good start.
Really?
No.
Don't worry. I'll figure something out.
Okay.
If I can't get enough detail from one image, I will take a lot of small ones and will auto-merge them using Photoshop. Now this looks much better. The details are there. I can work with this. But not if I look at the stitch lines. Edges don't match, and the paths are misaligned. Photoshop is usually great at auto-merging, and these minor flaws would not be visible in casual photos. But when there are so many tiny lines, the imperfections of automatic merge become clearly visible. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to roll up my sleeves and do all the stitching by hand. This process is tedious and time-consuming, but I need that level of detail to be able to recreate the maze in 3D. To do the alignment, I need a detailed enough base layer for reference. And while the auto-merge result is not perfect, it is better than the photos I took on my phone and camera. For each image, I set the mode to multiply so I can see both the layer below and my overlay. And then, I start aligning all corners and lines as precisely as possible using different transform modes.
The lines look a bit wonky. Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Don't worry, it will be fine.
Really?
I'm positive.
Only fools are positive.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
At first, this process looked promising, but it wasn't. Even when corners align precisely, the background image and the overlay start diverging a very short distance from the corner. Looking at the overlay on and off, you can see how the two layers look distorted compared to each other. The problem is that every photo is somewhat distorted. This happens due to the camera angle. The more the camera tilts, the more distorted the image becomes. It would be okay if the distortion affected only one axis, but it doesn't. I can't hold the camera and the object precisely in parallel to each other. Therefore I got all kinds of distortions in all directions. On top of that, I used those distorted images to create the auto-merge layer, which isn't making my work any simpler.
Are you ready to give up?
I need some time to think about this.
Just don't take too long.
I can always give up tomorrow, you know.
True.
Photos didn't give a reliable enough reference image. So I went to an office supply store and had Papa's Maze scanned at the highest possible resolution. The poster barely fit into the scanner, therefore there was some clipping. Also, the paper was not even, so the scan ended up blurry in certain places. However, I was happy with the result. I had a geometrically straight and detailed enough image which was ideal for manual stitching.
I hope you realize that this is the very beginning of the project.
I know.
Much more difficult challenges are awaiting ahead.
I know.
Are you sure you're ready for this journey?
100%. I want nothing more.
I have a quote for this occasion. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Sometimes you face difficulties not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are doing something right.
Well, thank you. I needed that.
Don't get used to it. As a rational imaginary entity, I'm here to protect you from your own biases, not to cheer you on when you're delusional.
Understood. After several more hours in Photoshop, I finally had the maze transferred from the poster to a digital file, and I can look at it in 3D. Isn't it magnificent?